and welcome to the third day of understanding your vital nature. Before we start, we'll have a moment's silence, please. A warm welcome to you all. So, as we've discovered in these 2 days so far, there is a common factor behind changing all our vital movements, and that's the conscious presence, as Monica puts it, or the consciousness that is at our disposal. It's certainly valid for refining the senses, as we discovered yesterday, and it's going to be extremely important in enlightening the inner movements, which Monica is going to describe today. So I'm really looking forward to this session. I've really actually enjoyed this workshop a great deal. So over to you, Monica, and everyone, please enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, thank you so much, James, and namaste to everyone. So yeah, I think today's topic is one of my favorite topics also, and looking at our own inner movements and the capacity we have there for self-mastery, looking at inner movements and the ability to refine them, ability to sort, organize them, ability to weed off whatever is unnecessary. So that's the beauty, and we will come to that beauty in a few moments. Before that, continuing from yesterday, what we were doing, first of all, I would like to appreciate, applaud, in fact, all of you who tried that Snoopy cartoon. Some of you also tried to color it. That's really marvelous. And many a times the mind comes in and the mind says, but what's the use of this, what I'm doing? It's a cartoon and maybe I'm just wasting time. But that's the beauty of the vital movements, that the satisfaction we get by being mindfully completely there with a drawing or skillfully with a music or something, it's a satisfaction with no calculation at all. So only we know how much of beauty it is sitting mindfully with either a sketch or coloring, or I think some of you were mentioning you color mandalas. So there is no utility per se, but the only utility is that that you are at a good place within. So that's the beauty. There is no calculation going on. That thing was one. And there was one question from Claudia, which I would like to maybe hint towards. So she was sharing, or asking rather, that the example that I shared of this villain, if I am a villain and I play a role of a villain in a theater or a role play, so when I come back home, the story of the script would be playing very heavy on me if I do not take my clothes off and if I do not disengage myself from the story and know myself as the actor. Now, that is just one example that I took. Maybe it was an intense one. It does not mean to say that I have to keep on going on, continuing the negative karma, and I can always detach myself from it. So that's stupidity. So the idea what I wanted to convey was that no matter whatever role we play in this life, and we do play roles, we are fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, artists, musicians, doesn't matter who we are. These are all just the roles that we are playing. Again and again, what I wanted to share from that example is, so that the story or the script, we always have a detached engagement there. For that, it is absolutely necessary for us to know who we truly are. And if I keep on coming back to knowing myself as this knowing or conscious presence or consciousness, if I keep on coming back to that, then I would never suffer from an identity crisis. That's what happens with us, when we get too much lost in the drama of thoughts, me and my story, what people did to me, what I have done to people. That is all drama. We all have dramas in our life, but there is something beyond that drama, which is also our reality. Can we touch that space? So I may be a villain, I may be a hero, I may be a neutral kind of a person, but whatever story I am in, it's a drama. Again and again, I have to disengage. Knowing myself, what the meditation that I have been stressing upon, to know myself consciously as that conscious presence. Unconsciously, we are all that. We are all Brahmans. We are all enlightened beings. But that is unconscious. So what is the fun if I don't even know that I'm sitting on a treasure and I feel like a beggar all the time? That's our status, that we are sitting on a pot full of gold, and all that we do throughout our lives is beg. So unconsciously, I have the treasure, but I'm not aware of it. So can I become consciously aware of being the conscious presence? Because then only the treasure is of any use to me. Otherwise, a human life is wasted. A precious human life is wasted. And this treasure that we are sitting upon and still begging, this treasure is our birthright. To know ourselves truly who we are, it is our birthright. No matter what kind of a sinner, villain, or hero, it doesn't depend on any virtues or sin. And it also doesn't depend on any capacity, that I am a layman, how can I become enlightened? Everybody can become self-realized, because it is our true nature. We are sitting on that all the time. It's just that we have to become more and more conscious of it. Yeah. So that's what two things from yesterday I wanted to share. So Lotus is asking, is conscious presence same as the vital nature? No, not the same. But see, there is a room, there is a space, and in that space, there are 10 different things. So space can be called as the consciousness that we are. And there are 10 different things that are in the space: the mind, the vital, the physical being. It's a very crude example that I'm giving. So I am the one, I am the space, I am the consciousness which allows the movement of mind, vital, and body. So it's because of me, because I present the space for the mind, vital, and physical to be, right? So that's where we can see that because of the space's presence, mind, vital, and physical exist. But mind is not just, the space is not limited by the mind. Mind's existence depends upon the space, right? A chair's existence depends upon the space in which the chair is there. But the space is independent of the chair. So the vital nature, the mental nature, or all these thoughts, feelings, sensations, as if these are things bubbling up in manifestation in that space, which is the space of divine consciousness, which is our true nature. I hope, is that clear, Lotus? Does that make sense? It's almost also, the other example we can give here is, are the clouds same as the sky? No, are the clouds same as the sky? So you are asking, is the conscious presence same as the vital nature? Vital nature is clouds. Sky is conscious presence. So there is no existence of the clouds without the sky. But the sky is independent of the clouds. right? So conscious presence is like that blue sky, vast, unlimited, which is not limited by the bodies, but it is occupying the body. It is, it is overpowering the body. That's how we think. Because the moment I think, I am aware that I am thinking. I am aware of the thoughts going on in my head. This awareness, this consciousness of the thought, right? This is what we come back to again and again. But consciousness does not depend on the thought. Even in the absence of thoughts, consciousness can be. So even in the absence of clouds, the sky still is not going anywhere, right? So yeah, that is another metaphor that is used, because this primordial consciousness or awareness is also related to space, which is unlimited, undefinable, it always is. And depending, because of its presence, because of the presence of space, all can exist. Yeah. Yes. Sky may feel passive, but if you really see, all the action which is subtle is happening in the sky, which is giving rise to the clouds. So that's the beauty. So Vignesh is asking to add on question, when it comes to sky, we see no action. We see no action taking place. Why? Because our eyes are not really good enough. Our eyes have a very limited perception. But the cloud is full of activity. So that's where we get lost. I think beautiful observation. Thank you for putting it here. So because the cloud is so dark, how can I miss it? So the feeling, the intense emotion is so dark. How can I miss it? Right? And in focusing on the dark emotion or thought or all the content of consciousness, I forget to look at the sky itself. And that's why the name ignorance, we are in ignorance of our true nature. It's not that a true nature is not present. I am ignoring it every moment because I am focusing on the clouds. Because the clouds are so gross, and sky doesn't make its presence felt. So the awareness or the consciousness does not make its presence felt. It's, as you said, quite passive in that sense. But the drama is there in the thought and emotion. So all my attention again and again goes and attaches itself to the thoughts and feelings. So thoughts and feelings are not a problem. The problem is our attachment to thoughts and feelings. That's the beauty. It's the feeling that gives us, the quality of being human. We are sensitive to each other, empathetic, understanding. This is all feeling, right? It's not the problem of thoughts or feelings. It's the problem that we again and again ignore the blue sky of consciousness, awareness, and look only at the dark cloud of thought and feeling. There is the catch. That's where we have to come back, bring the puppy back again. Again, know myself as consciousness. Again, know myself as consciousness. And it's good to do it when you are not really troubled. Kabir Das, this famous saint poet, he had a couplet. He has many couplets, and one of the couplets says, "Dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi, jo sukh mein sumiran kare, so dukh kahe ka hoye." So he says, everybody prays to the Lord or become aware of something higher than the mortal existence when we are in challenge. But those of us who pray to the Lord or are conscious of their own conscious presence in the days of non-challenge or when things are okay, they will not even fall into trouble, because the only trouble is that we get lost again and again in the drama. That's the only trouble. There is no other trouble. This trouble can come through my relationships. It can come through my workplace. It can come through my disease. The triggers can be many, but the only problem is that I again and again ignore my own identity as consciousness. I again and again feel that I am this role that I am playing, but I forget the actor behind. So it's good to dissociate again and again from the cloud and look at it, the larger view, that I am the blue sky which is making the cloud possible. then it gives you a very expansive view of yourself. This is also called detachment. I'm detached now from the story. Now I can exert some control over the story. Okay, so Shilpa is asking, what is the relationship between psychic and the consciousness? See, relationship would be not a right, I would say, the way, because relationship means that we are different. It is one. It is one. So psychic is the divine consciousness that is present in each one of us. Now it's, imagine that you have a sun. You have a sun, and the sun is shining on different rooms. Every room is glass doors, all glassy rooms. Each room has a different curtain. And each curtain has a very delicate pattern on it. Every room has a different curtain. Every pattern is different, right? So now this divine consciousness, supreme consciousness, is like the sun. It has been again and again, related to the sun also. When the rays fall on the room through the curtain, each curtain, owing to the different pattern on the curtain, gives out a different reflection. That's what we call the psychic being, the true individuality, right? So the sun or the Atman, which is one, the divine consciousness, it's one. It's not separate. The beauty that I see in you, you see in others, it's all one beauty. But when this beauty gets filtered through the little delicate patterns of that curtain, which are our natural inclinations, everybody has a unique set of permutations and combinations, then we call it a true individuality, which is the psychic individuality. So the source is the one. So, there is a connection that it's all the same, but since the divine loves variety, multiplicity and unity is one. So it's beautiful to see that the same divine is shining through so many different ways, And that's why it becomes important for us that if we really want to be unique, because we are, each one of us is very, very unique. But the way we live is, we are all very, very similar, all with the same baggage, similar kind of a baggage. So to get in touch with that psychic presence within, it brings us closer to the supreme consciousness, which is the divine consciousness, which is unlimited. And psychic being is just a kind of a varied manifestation of the same divine consciousness. So there is hardly any difference, but yes, if we talk in relative terms, there is difference. The light that shines through each unique individuality, psychic being, is the same source, the divine consciousness. So that's how I would talk about it, again depending on how I see it personally. Yeah, anyone else, anything from the previous sessions, or any doubts or sharing, any reflection? Okay, so this was something which I wanted to share from yesterday, the villain thing and the drawing. And today's topic is very, very dear to me, because it has been my journey also. I'm sure many of you would also resonate with this. Mother would say that she never felt a need for external entertainment. When she was little, people will go to circus and all that, but she never felt that need. And she would say there was so much entertainment going inside of me. So if we turn the microscope within ourselves, become aware of our inner movements, begin to sort them, organize them, weed them off, pull weeds apart, it becomes a beautiful journey. And then we would not care that whether I have to reach somewhere. Even if I have not found the psychic being, I'm at a very decent place. I'm happy, I'm joyous in the journey. So before superhumanity comes, we have to first become fully human, right? So this journey is, although towards superhumanity, but we cannot skip being human. We cannot skip that part. So it's very essential part of our journey to again and again stabilize ourselves, root ourselves knowingly as this conscious presence, so that I become I have a little mastery over my own thoughts and movements. I'm not puppeted around by them. I'm present, more conscious, more sensitive to feelings of others, more empathetic, you know, because if I'm lost in my own stories, I cannot be empathetic. You must have seen people around you who you would say that, oh my God, how can somebody be so insensitive? People can be insensitive. We have been insensitive when we have been lost in our stories. Right? So if I remain lost in the drama, not know myself as the actor, then I cannot be a sensitive person. We will lack empathy and understanding. And that's what the globe, all over the globe, that's what we need. We need more sensitive people, more understanding people. We don't need really more, too much intellectuals. We have all the knowledge, but it's the gap between knowing and the living that we are struggling with. So this capacity of feeling, which is again, because since we are talking about vital, this capacity to feel fully, the capacity to be sensitive to my own needs, to my own kind of inner space, and also respecting others' space. This is what we need. This cannot be done if I'm not conscious of my inner movements. So we will do the stabilizing meditation again shortly, and then we will look at why is it important to look at inner movements and what can be done. What is the process? What can be the process? There may be many ways. Yeah. So let us close our eyes. Let us close our eyes if possible, everyone. And also one thing I want to say here before we start, the mind can, since I'm not giving any other tool, per se, the mind can say, oh my God, again, the same meditation. It can happen, the thought can come again, because the mind gets bored again and again with the same repetition. But if we know that it's beneficial, even if we touch a little, mother says that the more you practice something which is worthy of practice, it's like an egg. I'm sure some of you must have heard that example. Mother says for 40-20 days you would see there's nothing happening in the egg. The egg is same, looks the same from outside, but one day it just cracks open and there is a chicken coming out. So we have to just continue again and again, coming back knowingly as this conscious presence. So that's why I was stressing again and again on it. So please let us close our eyes if possible. Taking 3 deep and long breaths in your own way. Coming back to the body, back to the breath. Staying with 21 conscious breaths. And the moment I get lost in the thoughts or feelings again, I come back to the breath. If you lose the thread again, come back to the breath. Come back again. Now take a stance as the presence of consciousness, the presence of awareness, as if you are sitting at the river banks and noticing the river of thoughts and feelings and moods and maybe body aches, all that you are noticing. there may be very juicy content in the head. And again, you may feel the need to lose yourself into that, but don't resist. If you get lost in the river, again, know yourself as this conscious presence sitting on the banks of the river, watching the flow of thoughts come and go by. You have really nothing to do with that. No happiness was ever found there. No lasting happiness was found there. You are resting knowingly as this conscious presence. All the thoughts and feelings that come and go by, they're just like empty bubbles. They look glittery, maybe very, very important, very, very important, urgent to attend. But the moment you come closer and get them, there is nothing lasting there. It's all fleeting. Now notice that you are looking at the river of thoughts and feelings and sense perceptions. And now turn your focus towards your own self. You are looking at the looking. There is nothing in the earth that you want. You are the looking. You are the knowing. You know. And it's not a dumb knowing. It's full of wisdom, intelligence, love, compassion. It's a very intelligent knowing. It looks at something and it knows the true and knows the false. It's very, very intelligent knowing. That's you. You are the knowing behind everything. You're not the content of the knowing. Content keeps on changing, but you never change. And the knowing with which I know things is the same knowing with which you know things. So we are all one. This is our shared being. Imagine that knowing is a one big, humongous being, and all of us are just little parts of it. We are in the divine being of knowing. We are not separate from this divinity at any moment of time. We are floating in it. We can never be away from this knowing. Just like a fish has no existence without water. But the fish does not know it's water because it's so close. So she misses it, maybe miss it right? But we have the capacity to know it consciously. That's why human birth is so special. So to stay as this knowing, conscious presence within, which knows everything, which understands everything, which always catches dishonesties, which knows the true from the false. This is who I am. And again, some thought or past story may come, but give no importance to it. It has no meaning whatsoever. The biggest treasure is you, your truth. Everything else can wait. This is what we call holy dip in the Ganges. From time to time, we have to dip ourselves in this conscious presence, know ourselves as this conscious presence. And whenever a mind arises from this holy dip, it's a transformed mind. It's not the same anymore. So stay knowingly as this conscious presence. Or in other words, be aware of being aware. Yeah, slowly you can come back to here and now. That's where we were. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. So coming to the inner movements, why to look at the inner movements? What is the need? And we all have homes, thankfully. We all live under a roof. And we know that from time to time, it becomes necessary for us to clean the home, right? To tidy up a little bit, to maybe give things away which we don't really use, and to keep only the things that we are using. Otherwise, it just gets cluttered again and again. And it's the same thing with our inner space. So from time to time, again and again, it's good to check within and to see what all is growing, as if it's a beautiful garden that we have. And from time to time, weeds come up, the weeds of jealousy, anger, hatred, divisiveness, victim attitude, ambition, greed, sense of lack, pride. And we realize that they disturb the inner space. They cast very dark shadows in the inner space. So these are the weeds. And if I take again and again a stance as conscious presence, then I look at it, okay, what is ugly? What is beautiful? Okay, the ugly one, maybe I don't need it. I can maybe transmute it. And we will talk about transmuting the ugly ones today, hopefully. And the beautiful one I will keep because they make my life worthy. So kindness, compassion, genuine love and understanding. All of us have that. All of us have that in some or other degree. Sensitiveness, being sensitive to needs of the other around us, being sensitive to my own inner space. All these are some growing things in the garden which I need, which are beautiful to keep. So it's beautiful to use this conscious looking, which we were again and again taking stance as, so that we can weed off the things which are not required and we can keep whatever is required. So sorting is happening all the time. Sorting is happening. The moment a ripple of hatred arises, I notice it, because now I am consciously as this conscious presence. I notice the ripple of hatred arising. I see it coming. And I talk to myself that, oh my God, I have been here enough, haven't I? So what's the point of going back here again and again where I don't get anything? So the moment something arises, the conscious presence looks at it, and because it is intelligent, it knows what is to be kept, what's not to be kept. It's very intelligent. We don't need any other intelligence than this conscious presence. It's innately wise and innately full of love and compassion. That's its nature. That's why when we talk about God, we say he's karunamay, he's full of divine compassion and grace and mercy. So when we touch this consciousness within us, it is full of intelligence, limitless intelligence, and it's also full of limitless love and sensitivity. So the moment I recognize a ripple of anger arising, if I'm conscious enough, I'll see the ripple arising. If I'm not conscious enough, I'll be swayed, and maybe in retrospect, I will contemplate over it. But if I see the ripple arising, and if I see that I've been here enough, I've been angry enough, and I don't want it, I'm okay losing the game. I don't want to be the right person. So you give it away. And having said that, it's not that we don't have to take stand for what is right. Since we were talking about this innately intelligent presence, it also knows when is the time to take a stand. But most often than not, we are taking a stand for really rubbish things. They do not have that much of worth, so that we drain our energy there. So this is why it is beautiful to look at inner movements, because this is the temple where we have to install the divine presence. The divine presence is already there, but we have to invoke it. That's what the priests do in the mandir, in the temples. They invoke the presence. Every day they have to chant some mantras so that the deity remains alive. Otherwise, dust and everything will gather upon it, and the presence of the deity will vanish, in the sense that it will get covered with layers of dirt. So the deity is already present in us, but can we put enough effort for the purification? That's what we are doing here. So if I really want to have a purer life, have a beautiful life, and beauty is equivalent to the divine, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, truth, Shiv, and beauty. And that's why so much of stress Mother and Aurobindo give on beauty. Something of the beauty. Know what is beautiful movement in you. Know what is ugly movement in you. Because the more I follow beauty, the more I remain with my own inner essence. I don't get swayed away. And in children also, Mother Aurobindo say that it's beautiful to get them, introduced to some beautiful music, not the rubbish kind of music, which has also, ugly lyrics and all that, but something of beauty, so that in the adulthood, when they grow up, they already have developed a ear for, a good capacity for beauty, looking at beauty, appreciating beauty. So when I look at my inner temple, I look at it, and I weed it. I water the seeds of compassion and love and understanding, and I do not water the seeds of anger, hate, and blame and victimhood and sense of lack. I do not go by them. So how can this self-mastery happen? It can only happen if again and again consciously I know myself as this conscious presence, because then only I can exert a will. Otherwise, I have no power. I am my mood, I am my emotion, I am my thought. But if I can look at my mood, then I can know that it's not worthy to follow the mood, because I lose myself again and again. And the moment I give myself away to the mood, I lose my power. And as Aurobindo and Mother say, that consciousness is coupled with force, Chit is coupled with Shakti. So the more I remain as that conscious presence, I also have power in me, force in me for action. And if I keep on giving away that power, unconsciously, again and again, losing that stance, I get lost in the drama. I keep on expecting from other people to give me happiness. I keep on expecting from life situations to give me happiness. I lose my power. You must have felt, whenever we demand from other people, whenever we expect from other people, we lose our power. We become weak. Why? Why do we become weak? Because we forget ourselves as the conscious presence. We get too lost in the drama, the role play. So we lose our power. We, as if we decouple from the Shakti. And body is an extremely beautiful indicator here with all of us, because whenever you are feeling angry, burning with jealousy, if those of us who have noticed, you feel a burning sensation in the front of heart. It is not a nice feeling. We get headaches when we are angry many a times. When we are overthinking, in depressions, we get headaches. Why? Because the body is telling you, hey, you've lost it again. You're ignoring your truth again. So the body is absolutely usually connected with the psychic consciousness. Mother also says that, and hence body is a beautiful signal to listen to. And this is my own experience, because I have had cancer, 2013-14, and I realized that I was not in the body. The body was giving me signals. I was not there. I was lost in my thoughts for 2 years. So the body, because I'm not listening to the subtle signals of headache and mild stress, I'm not listening. I'm not aware. I'm not home. So the body creates a fire. Cancer. Now cancer is a fire. I have to attend to it. So the body is a beautiful servant of the divine in that sense, because it tells us, hey, you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So the moment I dissociate from my knowingly as my conscious presence, I dissociate knowingly as the conscious presence, the body tells. And the vice versa is also there, that the more you sit, even in meditations or not in meditations really, the more you act knowingly from that consciousness within, knowing yourself as that conscious presence, you will see that the body will tell. That's what we call opening of the chakras. So the body tells, you feel a sensation here, you feel a sensation in the throat chakra, you feel the heart reverberating. So what is that? The body is telling that the way is okay. You're following the okay way. And that's why we give so much importance to chakras. But again, just focusing on chakras, we can be swayed. So it's good just not to focus on chakras, make ourselves purer, continue with the purification process, and rest of whatever chakra has to open, it will open by the grace of the mother. You don't have to focus on the chakras. But the subtle body is giving indications. And many a times when we suffer from these psychosomatic illnesses, many people nowadays are working with chakra healing. What is that? Because that is removing all those blockages. The body already is signaling that all your chakras are blocked. Where are you there? Where are you lost? But I am not there. I'm not home. I'm in my stories. I'm in my head. Too much in the drama. I've forgotten to reconnect to my pure conscious presence, that I am this and not the role. So the body comes up with blockages. So this is very beautiful how emotions and thoughts are all coupled with the body consciousness, and it can be made use of. We can listen to the body. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? Because I think I have spoken enough in a flow. Maybe anyone wants to share anything?
If you can once again elaborate the difference between consciousness and psychic being. Once again, yeah.
So the example I was sharing, Abhijit ji, was that if we take the divine presence, the divine, supreme, unlimited consciousness as the sun, And imagine that its rays are the ones owing to which we see things. We see a mountain, we see human beings. It's because of the sun's rays that we are able to see. The light is there. So if we take the divine consciousness, which is unlimited consciousness, immutable consciousness, as the sun, and imagine each of us being as a different glass room, a room with full of glass walls, and there are curtains in, and the curtains have delicate patterns. So the moment the sun rays fall on the curtain, there is a reflection of the pattern comes in the room from the curtain, right? That's what I was sharing, that each one of us has a unique individuality, which we call the psychic being or the psychic individuality, which Mother has talked about. And each of one is very, very unique and special in that way. So everybody has a unique skill set, or not skill set, actually, a unique natural inclination to express something of divinity, right? And each one is unique in that way. But the way we live is more like boxes. We are all looking alike because we have not gotten touch with the psychic individuality. So I was sharing that we can actually call that psychic being as that little filter, little curtain. The source is the same, the divine consciousness, but since the inclination, natural swabhava, swadharma is different, unique to each one, so it manifests as a unique variety. And that's why billions of human beings, billions of true individualities, psychic individualities. But we have to wake up to that. Otherwise, we cannot ever call ourselves unique, really, unless we wake up to that uniqueness. So the curtain that we were talking of, if it gets covered up with dirt again and again, that's what we are doing in these sessions. We are cleaning off the dirt. First, we look at the dirt, we recognize the dirt, and then we purify the dirt. So looking, recognizing what is ugly, what is beautiful, and then to keep the beauty and transmute the ugly into beauty. Yeah.
So to be conscious is psychic, to go beyond the psychic being and to think about the divinity, the divine consciousness, like the sun.
Can you come up again, please?
That's so. I mean, so that the individual with a unique psychic being, then when he is trying to be conscious, does that mean he's going beyond his unique psychic being and thinking about the universal divinity, like the sun?
So the psychic being cannot be if the sun is not there. Just like we were talking, the chair cannot be if the space is not there. Right? So space is what we get in touch with when we touch this conscious presence, the divine consciousness, which is limitless as the space. And again, it becomes like difficult to define it in certain way. It's more of a knowing. You sit in meditation and you know that you have touched something beautiful. So it's more of that feeling and knowing aspect rather than limiting it in words, because whatever I'll say would be just too limited. So that's why people don't talk about the divine really much. We talk about garbage, okay, talk about cleaning garbage. Yeah.
It's a very nice attempt. Thanks.
Thank you.
Some clues about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Any reflection at this point?
Thank you, Monica. Your examples were amazing. All of it. The sun and the curtains, the garden, where the beautiful flowers and the ugly ones, the weeds. So it depends on what we water. So amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So anyone, any doubt or anything? Maybe I hope I have not really shared too much, because I don't want to confuse myself and you with too much.
Just another thing, if you'd like to think aloud about, how to pick up which emotion or which decision is coming out from the psychic and what is from the vital, to be sure.
Beautiful. Yeah. So Mother talks about being very sensitive to unease. And I can only be sensitive to unease if I am not uneasy all the time. Notice this, that if I am living with an uneasiness, then I'm not sensitive to uneasiness. But if now I am developing an ease in my life, a simpler and a lighter life, then the moment something heavy happens, I know that it's a moment of ego consciousness. So just like we say dal mein kala, so you have these lentils and in which there may be 1 or 2 stones within. If everything is just stony, how to differentiate? So mother says that first we have to again and again know ourselves as this conscious presence. The more we live with it, the more easier it becomes to notice which is dal mein kala and which is actually dal. To notice the shadow movement, the ego movement, and to notice what is coming from purity and the psychic being. It's very easy to recognize because you feel so heavy in the heart. Now you're not used to this heaviness. You're not used to living as an ego consciousness. So the moment something happens, you ask yourself, okay, what am I clinging to? What am I attaching to right now? So you will see that you are either trying to protect an image of you in somebody's head, either trying to, run towards fame, wanting to be somebody, attaching to your ideas of life, something or the other clinging would be there. And the idea is to become conscious of it, that the moment I grip something, grip it too tight, that's what we were calling, the desire soul. It clings to things. It attaches to things. It's very sticky in nature. So the moment I'm clinging to any person, situation, happening, my thought, my opinion, my feelings, it becomes heavy. And the moment it becomes heavy and uneasy, you know that it's not the right movement to follow. So you take a pause. So being sensitive to unease is what mother's recommendation is, which is a very powerful recommendation and especially works very well with little children who are beautifully in touch already with the psychic. And hence they become very, very uneasy whenever they do anything which is against the truth of their being. If they have stolen something, they'll become uneasy. They would not feel right about it. So this knowing is already there in us. So the idea is to become again and again, become knowingly as that conscious presence so that I can recognize when the movement of shadow happens. Otherwise, I would not be able to recognize because everything is just shadow. I'm living immersed in the egoistic consciousness. So this detaching and then looking is absolutely essential then to know, which movement to follow. So to be conscious of this clinging movement in us. And also I would like to come to love because the way we know love is not really love, I feel. And I feel that the journey in this life is to learn how to love. If we have started on this path of, first of all, admitting that I don't really know love, all I know is attachment, and then to learn how to love, truly love people and our own selves and, the earth, the planet, and all of the existence. So I would like to come to that also. I'm just kind of putting it out so that I don't forget. Yeah, anyone else? Okay, so I will just continue that in that case. And if I go too fast, please, you can stop me in between and unmute yourself and share. So about love, why love? Because talking about inner movements, this ability to look at the inner movements is synonymous with love. When a mother looks at a child, if it's a conscious mother, she looks at the child, she knows the child as her own, and she notices what are the movements which are ugly in the child, which are not to be kept, and she notices what is beneficial for the child. So this capability of transforming ugliness can only come with love. It cannot come with harshness. So that's why one unique attribute, if I can say, of this conscious presence is it's full of love. a love which is not dependent on outer situations, that you make me happy. It's your responsibility to make me happy. A love which is by itself enough. And often the way we relate in our relationships, if you look at our relationships, they're full of demands, full of expectations. Why are you not behaving the way I want you to? Because I love you, you have to be with me. So we call this love. Wouldn't it be better to call it selfishness? That you fulfill my demands and you are responsible for my happiness. So when we take the onus of our own happiness on us, that I am responsible for my own happiness, I don't want to torture any being on this planet for my own happiness, then we know something about love. Not even our children, Mostly our children are burdened with what parents have done for them and how much they have to repay. So can we allow the children to grow up in a manner that you are responsible as a parent for your own happiness, and you would do whatever needed for the benefit of the child, and not wanting something in return, that you should pay me back the respect and the love I gave you. Right? So I feel that it has a lot of power, that if we even embark upon this journey of getting to know what love is, I think it can be really very powerful and life-changing. Because I would realize that all I have been doing so far is just clinging, attaching, and being very selfish, abusing others for my happiness. So love is something where you step back. You step back and you put your moods and your needs aside. And you say, okay, what is good for you? That I will indulge in. Because my needs are met. I am the conscious presence. Without that, no fulfillment will happen. Right? So I have to know myself as this conscious presence. And only then I can step back from my mood and expectation. Otherwise, I won't be able to step back. Then I would want that, yes, no, I want this from you. How can you not provide this? So this sense of lack has to slowly wither away. And this would only wither away if I knowingly take again and again stance as this conscious presence, because that is fulfilled in itself. It does not need anything else. It can now only give. Now we become ready to give. So when we talk of love, we also talk about self-giving, right? You offer yourself to the world. That I have no personal needs now. Okay, I want to offer whatever I have, the goodness, to the world now. This is what we relate with love. Love is synonymous with self-giving. And Mother also talks about self-abnegation, self-forgetfulness, that you have no personal desires, needs, and demands from external people and sources. Everything is met from the divine, because now you are touched with that sun of the divine consciousness within. So all the fountain, the source of energy is already connected with you. What else do you need? So I feel that when we talk about cleaning up inner movements and transmuting them, this aspect of love cannot be missed, because otherwise I'll keep on doing the torture on other people around, that you are responsible for making me happy. Shri Aurobindo, in Alipur jail, and he figured out a way, okay, let me be here, and had a beautiful time, as divine darshan there. So can I be such a good friend of mine that no matter what the external situation is, I am going to stand by my side and I'm going to make something really beautiful out of any difficult situation I am in? Can we have such a pact with ourselves? Yes.
Monica,
Yeah.
I was just considering what you were saying about the love. And like one of the viewpoints that I've heard previously, and I've often contemplated, right, around love and relationships as we live this yoga in daily life, right, is that, say I do something and I think it's absolutely fine and it's in the highest good of all concerned and myself. And in that process, I hurt somebody, right? A near and dear one, a friend, a family member. But I'm oblivious to that's how it's affected them. And if they were to come to me and say, look, this thing that you did, you know, it felt extremely hurtful. Now, they may be coming from a vital place, they may be coming from an ego-centered place, they may be coming from a higher place. But the point is, now this person has been hurt, right? And I was oblivious to it. But now if they brought that to my attention, right? Now I can either be like, okay, well, you know, that's your problem. You should be dealing with it and being by your side and being your own best friend. Or there's some onus on me then to examine myself and go, okay, where did I, you know, overlook that person's feelings somehow, or what is it in what they say? I mean, you've heard me in the past talk about a teacher, Byron Katie. There's an exercise that, you know, that she really focuses on that I valued. I guess that's why I'm bringing it up, because in the light of the yoga, I often not sure. You know, it's like, okay, then if I examine myself, and even if there's perhaps 10% or 5% in what they say that I can find, oh, where did I do that? You know, then it's not just, we are interconnected. It's I don't know about this 100% one is responsible for one's own happiness, because we live in this interconnected world and we're living with other beings, you know, and we can, I think, admit it sometimes unknowingly hurt each other.
Yeah.
You know? But where's the responsibility then?
Yes. So first of all, this is only for me here. I don't have to give this dogma to anyone else that you be responsible for your own happiness. You know, you are your best friend. No, I haven't even tried it on myself. It is for me. I have to be my best friend. I have to be one drop of poison less in this universe. The journey is mine, right? First thing that, and the second thing, if something happened and by mistake I did hurt somebody, if it was me, and if I recognize something has been done, I would say sorry, genuinely sorry. I'm sorry that I hurt you, whatever I did. I didn't mean to. But this genuineness, only I would know if it's there or it's just coming from a shallow surface something. What's the point? You know, I hurt somebody. I didn't know that I was hurting, and I say sorry. I didn't mean to. I think we can let go of the rest of the intellectual drama that, you know, that you should be responsible and you better take care of yourself, because that's not really compassion. You know, and you would know, you know, Swapna, you would have a knowing that if you really feel sorry to somebody, we say sorry because we didn't mean to. And mother says that the biggest way to go over through a mistake is when you feel that something wrong has been done, which should have been avoided, but you have done it. You know, mother says to accept it, fully embrace it, that yes, I have done it, and to really feel sorry for it from within, and then offer it to the mother and let everything be corrected, and to pray also for the other person, like Nachiketa did, you know, when he went to the Yamraj. He said that first boon he wanted was that my father is so angry with me, please make him rest in his being. So if I notice that some kalesha has happened, you know, something disturbing has happened, and the other person is also weary and, you know, like not really fine about it, you pray that may I be okay with it, may I move on, and may the other person also move on. A prayer has such a power, and we will take the power of prayer in, I think, day 4, day 5. We will touch upon that, you know, that how to truly pray, because we don't really deeply pray. We rarely pray, only when we are in an extremely challenging situation, when somebody is dying, you know, only then we really pray. Otherwise, our prayers are really shallow most of the times. So to use that suffering that you may be having, or the, you know, the mistaken something that you are having, that I could have prevented that, to use the intensity and to send out a prayer that may the other being also be okay, healed, and may I also move on from here. That's it, not regurgitating and being guilt and shame about it. That's not the way mother says. Yeah. Guilt and shame is again centering about my own ego. So we think that the game has changed, but the game has not changed. Guilt and shame belong to the same category as pride and vanity. It's the ego game. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's also, when we talk of love, we also can talk about how gently we hold water in our hands. Have you ever held water in your hands? You cannot hold it tightly. The moment you hold it tightly, it falls away. But you have to hold it very gently so that it stays in your palm. That's what love is about. That can we hold our relations? Can we hold the people who we claim to love very gently, not clinging to them? The moment I cling, the water falls away. It goes away from me. I'm again in a sense of lack. So love is holding very lightly and loosely and gently, not really hurting our own self and the other people around us. Because in clinging and grasping, we hurt. Yeah, so I wanted to play a little kind of game and then also give you a little tool, which is again coming from Buddhist tradition. So first we'll play the game and then we'll talk about the tool that I want to share. This game is called I will be happy only if. Okay, so if you can write this sentence wherever you have space, like your phone or maybe a paper or pen. I will be happy only if. So we have many ifs that are there in our life. That only if this gets fixed, I will be happy. I'm waiting for this to happen. Only if my disease gets corrected, I will be happy. So you have to make a list of all the things that come up. I will be happy only if. So what is stopping me from being contented and happy right now? You have to list all the blockages, if there are any. There may be none actually, and I'm happy that there are none if that's the case. But if you want to list, I will be happy only if, and now you can list all the worries and concerns that you may have. Only if my relationship gets fixed, only if the person I love loves me back, only if I get a signal from the mother that she loves me, only if I get truly self-realized, or maybe only if I land up in Pondicherry. It can be anything, the mind can conjure up so many things. Only if I'm selected for a certain course, or only if I'm able to repay my debt, if I have any. So all list everything that comes to you, any concern, any worry, only if. I'll be happy only if.
Actually, I'm feeling very funny when I'm writing this. Because the more, we are listening to or we are becoming aware of the fact that happiness is not related to anything. And then when we do this activity from just a human space, okay? So, I'm really feeling very funny.
Beautiful.
I'm
Yeah.
writing because yes, from a human space, I feel that yes, I'll be happy only if this happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, while writing, I know that my happiness is not related to this.
Beautiful, beautiful. And mother says that the only problem with human beings is that they take themselves too seriously. So it's good that this lightness is coming, this humor is coming. Yeah. I'll be happy only if I'm able to meditate for 2 hours at a stretch. We can just make up anything and it can become a block. I'll be happy if my children open up more to me. I'll be happy if someone forgives me. Maybe someone is not able to forgive you and things are there kind of blocked. Okay, so Sharada is sharing that I'm not finding really anything, don't know what to write. That's okay. If anything comes up, right? And if nothing comes up, that's also beautiful. Yeah. So the idea is that if there is anything which is postponing my happiness to some future time, my contentment to some future time, just to notice, recognize, and list it. If there is nothing, very nice, And if there is something that you can find, that is also very nice, because then I'm able to recognize what is there.
Yeah, Monica, after typing it to you, only one thing is coming to my mind. I want to be without fear. If I'm without fear, I'll be very happy.
So yeah, I'll be happy if the fear goes away, right?
Yeah.
So you can put it on the list, yeah. So while you are, writing this, maybe some of us have completed. I hope you don't have a long list. Really, I really hope we don't have a long list of why I should postpone my happiness.
I'll be happy if there are no escalators.
Yeah. So, the ego loves to be miserable. That's the beauty of ego. And Mother has talked too much about cheerfulness, and she says that smile, be happy. And the first time I read that sentence, I was not in a happy mood, and I couldn't really understand what she's meaning by saying that. But I think I do see now where she's coming from, that the more I give in to the demands of the vital, the more I give in to the demands and expectation of whatever is brewing up in my head, the more I identify with that, the more miserable I become. And that's where we call being trapped in the egoistic consciousness. And the moment I take a stance as conscious presence, Rahim says, चाह गई चिंता मिटी मनवा बेपरवाह जिनको कछु नहीं चाहिए वो शाहन के शाह. So he says a person who has no more kind of these petty desires left, and no more liking, preferences, and desire, dislikings left. चाह गई चिंता मिटी, worries, no anxieties are there, no, nothing is worrying me, no concerns are there. That kind of a person is truly his king. He has taken the real throne within, knowingly knowing ourselves as that conscious presence. Because then we see, as Rakhi was sharing, that all of us appears so foolish. Why am I basing my happiness on all this? It appears really very empty, what we were talking earlier, empty bubbles. They have no meaning whatsoever. And like this, we live for a lifetime. At 80, at 90, we get to know, and we are almost on our deathbed with all these anxieties and worries and postponing happiness for 80 years. And again, we take birth in the same state of consciousness because we did not realize who we truly are. So if something has to be done, it's beautiful if it's done in this life itself, to become conscious of who I truly am, so that even when I am dying, since the body will, dematerialize, I know myself as this immortal essence, so that I'm not afraid of the coming phases and I can go through them happily. Because the state in which we let go of this body is almost the state in which I get a new body, if I do not realize who I truly am. So again, quoting Kabir, he says, Maya mari na man mara, marmar gaye shareer, Asha Trishna na mari, keh gaye Das Kabir. So he says, my desires, greed, ambitions, all this did not die. Only the body dropped dead. So all this will take birth again. So if I have to truly die, I have to die to my ego. I have to become knowingly as this conscious presence. Only then I can exert a little bit of mastery over my life, and really be actually joyous, because whenever we are able to master anything, look, those of us who drive cars, and when they were learning to, drive a car for the first time, how much of happiness it gives. That here, I am able to master it a little bit. You may still bump into a pillar again, but still, there is a mastery there. The bike, when we get the first balance of riding bicycles, it's beautiful when to have a little bit of mastery. So when we have little bit of mastery over my own emotions, my own impulses and tendencies, and know themselves as something separate, and hence I can exert some control over it, it gives us joy. Mother says, effort gives you joy. When we put effort, it gives us joy. That's why I should put effort. And not that something else will happen in the future, some chakra will open. Not for that, that may happen. That may give you some additional bonus joy, but not for that, not waiting for that. So I am not miserable right now. Right now, I'm very joyous to exert a bit of conscious control over tendencies, patterns, and the inner space. Yeah, anyone, anything else?
Yeah, I think, if one thinks that the perfection is such a difficult thing to attain. Like, for example, if one wants to have absolute faith or absolute trust, or maybe a conviction about victory, that the poise, like Sri Krishna, we find Sri Krishna smiling in the battle of Kurukshetra. Now we take a stand at different times in life, but then it ought to be sticky because we're not perfect. We do not know really it's how much is ego and whether it's 100% from the psychic being, but then still on the way one has to take a stand. And then we know it's so immense a journey, to perfection. And without that completeness, one cannot really be happy and joyous. That that incompleteness always clings, that there's so much to do and time is fleeting. So efforts, of course, gives joy, but it's very humbling that that it also gives a sense of urgency. I think it that way. And then you have people around, your relatives, your friends, so much of people in distress. So when you become sensitive, how can you be really happy? Because you want to go to them, and if you connect with them with different life stories, you want to do something, but you are very limited, and at times you're helpless. You cannot really help with money or material to make someone else happy. So I think happiness or joyous state can only come when one is really self-realized, and that poise of Sri Krishna can come. I think Arjuna didn't have that poise, when he was fighting the battle, but we find portraits of Sri Krishna always smiling while in that killing spree. Now that kind of, that poise is only possible, perhaps one becomes identified, with the infinite and knows everything, the past, present, and future. Without that, I think that ultimate, joyous state, what you're referring to, or that happiness, is always incomplete, because there's a craving, there's an urge. It can only give that, that you're on the right way. That gives you, that gives a sense of that. But I think to really aspire for happiness now what I am, that's perhaps not a very sincere statement.
Yeah. So Abhijit ji, absolutely resonate with what you just shared, and that would actually take us to what the technique that I was going to share with all of you. And I want to share that suffering and a sense of joy within can exist parallelly. I need not be rid of pain or suffering in order to experience a deep joy. Because this joy is not something I am craving for. This joy is a byproduct of being in touch with your conscious presence. It's a byproduct, just like, medicines have a side effect. Many medicines have a side effect. Almost every medicine has a side effect. So just like that, being in touch with the conscious presence in whatever degree possible, because perfection cannot be achieved in one day. If musicians who are playing effortlessly on veenas and sitars, you look at the effort they put in every day. It's mind-boggling, the effort they put. And even then they say that I have so much to still, such a further way to go. So that's why Mother equalized perfection with divinity. Since divine is infinite, you cannot ever reach the divine. You cannot ever say that now I am the divine, because always there is more to come. Just like that, perfection is also unlimited. And if you have seen many expert artists or musicians, from your side, a layperson side, it would be, wow, a perfect painting, but he would recognize what are the mistakes. He would say, yes, I know where the improvement is to be made. So this is the beauty about following perfection in our own self, our own inner space, that now more can be done. I can be more kind, I can be more compassionate, because there is never an end to it. That's the beauty. And the moment you even are able to take one baby step, it's enough for that time. एक तो लिया, अब एक नहीं लोगे तो 10 कैसे लोगे? If you not even take a one step forward, how can you run a marathon? So to say that I want to run a marathon, but I don't think I'll be ever perfect, and I don't think I'll ever achieve that joy, you don't even take one step. Mother would say it's tamas, get up, get going. So we need to also applaud, like pat our back, not in front of everybody, but inwardly, that I did a little good. So along with all the weaknesses and ugliness that I carry that need to be perfected, I also recognize the little beauty that is coming up in me. Both are parallelly necessary. I cannot always, kind of keep on bashing myself. And I absolutely agree that it's a far way for each one of us to go, but at least we have something for this life. We are not unemployed. We have work to do. We are not perfect, and hence there is work to do. If we would be just perfect, then there would be berozgari, unemployment. So good that we are not perfect, because we have work to do. So that's the beauty. The road is there. And the other thing that you were sharing, on which I would like to share this little practice coming from Buddhism, it's called Tonglen practice, Tonglen. The moment I recognize something in me which is ugly, the moment I recognize something in me which is making me suffer, I can use that suffering if I become conscious of it. Like imagine that my boyfriend has just broken apart with me and I'm suffering, right? And I recognize that I am suffering. So there is a conscious presence looking at the suffering. What I do is I transmute it into something else. How? I inhale, I connect with all the beings who are going through such a difficult time in breaking up of relationships. I inhale their suffering. All of us are suffering like me, those who are going through rough patches in relationships. I inhale their suffering with incoming breath, and I exhale contentment, progress, and joy to each one of us. How's that? So now the focus has shifted. Earlier, the focus was on me and my little story, right? What happened to me? I am suffering. Immediately, you connected with the whole of the existence, and all of the suffering has been utilized. Your suffering has been utilized. Right? So this is something which we can do at home when we are in our silent space. The moment you see any ripple of ego and you say to yourself, oh my God, it's still there, right? Something can happen. Like you say, oh my God, anger is still there. Immediately you become conscious of it. You say, all the people who are addicted to anger and are suffering because of that, I inhale their suffering and I exhale wellness and goodness for everyone. And in mother's prayers and meditations, you would see, I would share a few anecdotes where she becomes this, she touches the suffering of what human beings are going through. And she says, make me this brazier of love in which I can take all the suffering. So mother is also, kind of giving us hints and clues in that direction, that we can also do that. Why to just focus on me and my little sense of lack and ever to get trapped, remain trapped in that. So I used my personal suffering. Maybe my child is not respecting me. I recognize that I'm suffering because of that. And I say, all the parents who are suffering because their children are not respecting them, I inhale their suffering and I exhale wellness and goodness for everyone. And immediately you shift the focus from egoistic state of consciousness to something wider. And it cannot be that it doesn't change the situation. It will change the situation. So suffering is also there, and you transmuted it into joy, just like that, story of princess and the frog. That this frog that princess kisses and he becomes into a prince. So you utilize the frog, the suffering, and you transmuted it into something beautiful, which is good for all. Prayers have a lot of power. So this is one thing that I wanted to share. It's a Buddhist tip coming from maybe Tibetan Buddhism, and a powerful technique to get away from the trap of limited ego, the egoistic state of consciousness. So actually I had a lot of slides today, but because this topic is so close to my heart, I did not use any, and I would still be sharing with James all those slides, and because there are words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, very, very potent and powerful words. And it would be nice if those of us who are interested, they can go through those slides. Yeah.
Monica, some of the things, also related to some things that Bridget was sort of sharing in terms of, sensitivity or kindness in helping or things like that. For example, like even with, I think he mentioned also, but even like with beggars or, and you really feel, you see so many, and especially some of us who live in the West, to come back here, it's a very stark kind of thing. But we're also aware that, as much as, okay, you want to constantly give out, we also, like with Mother Sri Aurobindo, also they say certain things about philanthropy, and to see where it is kind of ego related, and there's so many nuances to it. Like even with food from the dining room, because of the consciousness, Mother has very clearly said not to, you think, okay, it's being, whatever, you don't want to waste what you're saying, but that, okay, maybe you should go. Like again, restaurants and all which are not eating food, you think, okay, it should go to the poor. Why are you chucking it out? So how does that then come in, where that by not giving, you're not being unkind.
Yeah.
You're not being compassionate. So I feel sometimes even kindness, compassion and all that, there are so many different ways, and one person's truth is another person's falsehood. And things like on philanthropy, when you share with people who are not connected with Sri Aurobindo Mother, they think it's very selfish. So it's like even that is a struggle. Like, how do you explain to yourself? And you certainly don't want to try to explain to anybody else.
Yeah. Shilpa, I have also struggled with this, because here in Delhi and Gurgaon also we have, people who are begging on the streets at every red light. I have struggled with this. I'll just share my personal reflection, and others are welcome to do so. So I first of all feel that there is unequal distribution of money on this planet. People have 500 crores and some people have nothing. So this accumulation of wealth is unethical accumulation. And now if having so much of wealth, I feel that someone doesn't even deserve a meal a day because it's begging and I should not be promoting it. I feel it's not right. It's unethical for me. So what I did is I imagined myself as that beggar. If I was on the street and someone is going in the car and I need money for one meal, would I not be really happy and contented if I get the money for that one meal? I would be okay. And I would be liking to have that money. So I think that we are actually very self-obsessed and too much accumulated in especially wealth, when it comes to our own selves. And I think again, my personal reflection, I think we should share it with humanity. It's not my right to keep all that wealth in the bank. As Mother says, we are all trustees of this wealth. So I feel that I would like to share not only the food that is left, from the restaurant or wherever, not only that, but also something which I may need, but I want to share. So that is how I have started to take it. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but it feels right to me. It feels that I want to share. Whether it's 50 rupees, 100 rupees, doesn't matter. But for the other person, it means a lot. And again, I would invite if people have more reflections over this.
Yeah, money is certainly an energy that has to be circulated. Yeah.
Again, with this, it's like so easy to, I mean, just yesterday, there was this little child who was begging at the traffic light. And then he sort of, was there. And then suddenly he says, can you give me at least some water? And, straight away it was like, even before I could stop myself, I had bought some lassi and I kind of took it out and gave it to him. And of course, cheekily, he said, do you have a straw as well? And I had to start laughing. But then he looked very happy to have had it. But at other times, it's like for me, a lot of, like I know, part of the Sarvam Village project that Aurobindo Society is doing, it is giving money with a consciousness. So it is at so many levels that they're really working at, so that at the end, they don't need to be out there begging, asking, because the whole consciousness raising is part of it. That's kind of feels very, very dear to me, rather than, just at every traffic light to give out money. So it's on one hand confusing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's meaningful almost that, okay, like yesterday, I just gave the lassi. I mean, I didn't even have to think. So then it feels, okay, that I'm connected and I want to do it at that time, whether it be money or food or whatever, then that feels right.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, money like shared would, like, for me, my first instinct is to give it to the Sarvam villages.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that also must be surely part of where it just feels right for you, as you said, what feels right for you.
What feels right. Yeah. One thing I was reflecting upon, my female help, she her auto got stolen. So they had taken loan for an auto, a very hefty amount of loan, and it got stolen after 2 days of getting the auto. And I was actually very perplexed. I was thinking that if it would have happened with my brother, for example, I would not even think a bit, and I would give away the money, whatever is loaned, the amount, so that the interest doesn't keep on rising up. So why do I have to think for, the help who is much more in need than my brother? And once I noticed this hesitation, I immediately gave it away. And it was a hefty sum. I don't know whether it comes back or not, but thankfully, Mother has put us, all of us who are attending this workshop, we are all in a state that we can give. We can share that wealth and money and everything. So why not? Why not? What stops us? And if it was the last day of my life, this is how I keep on thinking, that if it's the last day of my life, would I still do that? Yes, I would still do that. Because it feels right. So I've started to kind of, and again, I was earlier very hesitant to give out, thinking that it is promoting begging. But if I am that beggar and I need that money and the lassi and whatever, I would want the other person to share it with me. Yeah.
I just wanted to share this small thing that I do, because as you say, I think probably it's what we feel correct, each one of us in that moment, you know. So even bringing up my children, it was that way, you know. So at the end, sometimes they just become friends with these kids, you know, and even if it's for just a moment. So even now when I go out, sometimes I pack things and go, not the remaining of the food, but purposely thinking, I know there will be people wanting, you know. And also because as far as money is concerned, I don't know, because there are so many people who are used. I have seen, you know, they are using these people to collect money, and probably not, they might not even get it, you know. So more in kind, as you were saying, even things that I might need, like dresses. If I buy a new dress, I usually thinking of, you know, what is that I have really in a good condition that I can share with somebody. Or even especially when I find kids on the street and I have time, I stop and talk to them, you know, to ask them, why are you selling things? Shouldn't you be in school? But even just that interaction that we have, because the divine is everywhere in every person, you know, and they feel respected by all the people, not that they are something lesser than me just because they might not have a home, you know. So there is that is, I think, at least for me, it feels like really the bit I can, which is not at all me, it's really the divine working. It's not my personal me doing it, you know. It's really something that comes from within. I just wanted to share.
Beautiful. Yeah. I think there is this also a joy in giving, you know, and this comes from the psychic, the joy of giving, especially when we are giving away things which are dear to us. You know, like money, accumulated wealth is dear to me, right? But I'm giving it away. And mother, not really from the mother, but just like that, when we receive from other people, we always like to give help, right? We like to give help because there is, you know, you feel like I have something and let me give help. But there is also a joy in receiving, because what actually you are doing is you are allowing the other person who is giving help to you to feel that joy which he will be feeling while he's giving the help. So I think both ways, I think it requires a lot of grace to also gracefully receive when the help is, you know, received, and to also, you know, gracefully give out, because as mother says that we are all trustees, nothing belongs to us. So if we take even our accumulated wealth as just trustees of the mother, then we will put it whatever, you know, feels right, to the right direction. And it's beautiful to follow that intuitive guidance. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm done from my side. And if anyone has anything, or then we are done with the session. Yeah.
Yeah, just one thing, you know, I think, you know, one has to be really aware while giving. That's also important, because it has become a habit of many people, you know, to have an easy access to money, and consciousness cannot be really raised by, you know, giving away money, giving alms and all that. Give education, raise the awareness. That is what the Aurobindo Society is doing. Many other good NGOs are doing, aspiring for it. I think that is the way. I think Sri Aurobindo has also said somewhere, like, all the wealth of the world put in a village somewhere. You cannot alleviate the pain, the suffering, the awareness, you know, of that village people if they are not made self-aware.
Yeah,
So
Abhijit, the thing is that if I am right now working with making them self-aware and conscious of their presence, then beautiful kind of work. But right now I am engaged totally in my selfish absorptions. So can I even do a bit which is sharing my own possessions?
So I said, like, no, to channelize such kind of, you know, money power one has with institutions like SAS, you know, which actually at many levels they are working. You know, it's not just, you know, giving food every day, giving meals every day. The same people keep on coming every day, take the meals, take the money, and then it's an easy source of earning. So that should not be encouraged. So
I don't know.
that is
So
what I wanted. That is what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
city, traffic lights, you will have that kind of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
The same, a child or the same persons keep on, and perhaps they would be earning a few thousands of rupees every day, just by begging.
think
So, yeah,
giving
that's
away what
important.
you're
Yeah.
giving away what you're attached to is a different matter.
Yeah, and I think one has to know, as we were already, again and again stressing, that we would know what is right to do at each particular moment. And as Claudia is sharing, a smile sometimes is good. So not only material possessions, you just smiled, you touched a fellow, you hugged a fellow, you maybe helped, cross the road. Anything, giving your time, giving your own presence. So many kinds of givings are there. And I think we all know what is right in each moment. We all have that knowing. So to trust that knowing more and more, and then we will be guided. Yeah, so I really thank everyone to be so compassionate and kind to listen to so much. And
Yes, thank you, Monica,
Thank you,
so
Monica.
much.
Thank you.
So tomorrow we meet at 4 o'clock for the fourth session. Beautiful gathering today. So thank you.
thank you. Thank
Bye,
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Bye-bye.
Bye.